Why do you all hate Brock so much? What did he do to you? Did he step on your foot? Did he kick your dog? Has he stole your girlfriend? What on earth did Brock Purdy do to the point where so many of you not only don't want him to start, you refuse to hear the line of 49ers around the block who've told you he is? And then the second you thought that maybe, just maybe, Kyle Shanahan was sort of kind of opening the door to a conversation in August, you ran with it, only to find out that he said that in March, and no, he didn't actually say that.
I would guess the majority of people don't actually hate Brock at all, but they feel bad for Trey Lance. And because they feel badly for Trey Lance, they have to turn that into, well, Trey should start instead of Brock. It's not hating on Brock. It's loving Trey so much that you want Trey to have a chance.
I feel bad for Trey. Trey has gotten a raw deal. There's no two ways about that.
Do you feel worse for Trey or James Wiseman? In terms of whom you feel worse for, quote unquote.
Well, let's qualify this. I'm not like up at night for either.
I get that.
They're fine.
But in terms of your fandom, James Wiseman got a bit of a raw deal, much like Trey Lance got a bit of a raw deal far.
I guess I feel that more for Trey. Trey is a quarterback. There's more attention there. There's more expectation there. And the injuries happened within the heat of the actual game, as to where James's injuries seem to just happen.
Right.
I'm getting out of bed, whatever it is. You know what I mean? I know he was practicing and whatnot.
Yeah. James missed a whole year, and his team won the championship.
Right.
Trey Lance played 2 games as a starter, got hurt, and watched the rest of it that ended in an NFC championship game where, had he been healthy, he would have been able to come in there and do what he does best, and that is play quarterback.
Yep.
I'm close, but I probably feel a little bit worse for Trey Lance, too, just because of the nature of the position. And he got a taste of your QB1.
Your QB1.
Kid.
Right.
Now go out there and do it.
Yeah, 5 quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and my excitement level was higher for Trey Lance. So, yeah, I feel bad for the guy, and by no means is this conversation to be taken as if either of us, I'll only speak for me, but I know you feel this way too. Nobody here is saying we are 100% sure that Brock Purdy is going to be a great quarterback.
Right.
I don't know how it's all going to play out. I know damn well there's no question about how it would start the season, though. Like, it appears that some of you are prepared to put on the line what we've already seen, and then you're okay with never seeing it again. Like, what if you did have an open competition in August, and what if Trey won it? So now you're okay with, because a lot of you go, wait a minute, we only saw Trey for 2 games. You're going to never see it again? Well, okay, flip it the other way. You're going to watch Brock win 8 and then just never go back to him? Like, you'd be okay with that? I'm not okay with that.
Well, and you only get one switch, usually in this spot, and Brock Purdy is your starter if he's healthy. So if you start Trey Lance because Brock's not ready, then when Brock gets ready, you can make that switch, and that doesn't count as a, quote, switch. If Brock's healthy and you start out slowly, last year you opened up with a loss to Chicago, and after 7 games, you were 3-4. If you start this year 3-4 and Brock is not playing very well, maybe he's playing poorly, and you decide, you know what, Trey Lance is the one, we're making that switch, that's it. Once Trey goes in there, it's really hard to then go back to Brock Purdy.
You think? Why do you think that?
It tends to be that teams that go back and forth like that, you either lose the locker room or the quarterback that you then put back in. So Brock Purdy gets pulled. He's healthy. He starts 7 games. You're 3-4. He's got 8 touchdowns and he's got 11 interceptions, and he's just flat bad. You pull him, and you go to Trey Lance, and he goes 3-4. Now you're 6-8, and Trey Lance has been no better. You gonna go back to Brock Purdy?
Maybe.
That's tough.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not saying
it's tough.
No, obviously the scenario you're painting is a disaster for the 49ers.
For sure.
The season will have gone awry. How the hell do you keep going 3-4 with this roster?
Exactly,
it would
right.
essentially mean that they both stink. I mean, that's actually what you're fearful of. I know a lot of people are fearful of, this Trey Lance trade and draft pick will have gone wrong. Well, if Brock Purdy's a good quarterback, honestly, who cares? And I know what the answer to that is. Yes, it's still a bad trade. Yes, the 49ers could have done some things with those draft picks. Those are all fair points. But if the Niners are getting great play from their QB position, who cares? Who cares? I don't know. I don't lose any sleep over that. If they're winning and they've got a QB, we're good here. Well, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter which one it is.
Right. Either way, you're going to have to decide on which one it's going to be going forward. You hope one of the two will be your franchise quarterback for the next, 4 to 6 years, but both of them will not be getting second contracts. We know that. Not here. Right. Ryan in Irvine here with Willard and Dibs. Hey, Ryan, thanks for calling. What's up? What you doing?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Sorry, I'm in a car wash. Can you guys hear me?
Sure can.
Okay. So I just wanted to say, I think one of the reasons why there's kind of this divided camp is because a lot of the content creators that a lot of us Niner fans tune into have kind of tapped into, like what you said, the whole Fox CNN model, the controversy of, are you in Trey's camp? Are you in Brock's camp? And I don't, for the life of me, understand it, because you're just a 49ers fan. You root for both of them, and let's just win a Super Bowl. But I think that's one of the reasons is they've kind of played into that divisiveness. And the second thing is, I think we're all kind of scarred with what happened with Jimmy Garoppolo. He came in on fire, won 5 or 6 games. Our offense looked completely different. Go into the next season thinking, man, we're ready to hit the ground running. He gets injured, and from that moment on, he was never really the same quarterback. So I think we're just scared that Brock Purdy is going to end up being kind of that same deal. And then last thing, sorry, I'm taking a long time. Please get Ohtani. I'm an Angels fan. Don't let him go to the Dodgers. I want him to stay in California and go to San Francisco. He can't go to the Dodgers. Make it happen, please.
Ryan, that's interesting. Thanks. And Ryan's down there in Irvine. He's in Angels country for sure. And that is the mentality of an Angels fan. Like they've already given up.
Well, he's gone.
Yeah,
he's gone. We said last week that it's probably a 99% chance that he's not an Angel as of next year. It's a fait accompli. He's going to be gone. So if you're an Angels fan and you live in LA and you know that 4 out of every 5 fans or maybe 9 out of every 10 fans is a Dodger fan and not an Angel fan, that would be a sickening blow.
Oh, dude. It's a 1-2 punch.
Right.
It's enough of a gut punch that he's leaving, which we're assuming. But the double gut punch of he's going up, as they would say, the 5 freeway.
Exactly.
And he's going up the 5 is just, it's a killer. And it's one of the main reasons why I just don't think he's acquirable here in this month of July, because you too could be the team that gives up your entire farm system and then watches him become a Dodger for Christmas.
Right. If that's going to be the way it goes, then you don't want to give up 5 prospects to have him for 10 weeks.
His comment about Jimmy is sure interesting. Okay, so Jimmy PTSD. That's fair, right? Except for this. He goes, Jimmy comes in, he wins the 6 games, he gets the contract. And then you start the next season and he immediately gets hurt. And for the caller, that's like, for Ryan, that's the end of the story. And you don't want to end up like Jimmy. And I'm like, right, the goal is to win the Super Bowl, but the story continued after that injury. Jimmy came back, went to a Super Bowl the next year, and then even before Jimmy left, he rallied the team to another NFC title game and was a major part of their winning last year, which I think will forever be forgotten. Gets re-signed in August as a hedge, comes in, starts the 49er win streak that ends up in yet another NFC title game. Is that the most awful thing in the world? If the floor for Brock is Jimmy,
you'll take it.
Well, I don't even want to say I'll take it, but there are worse things. There are worse things at the QB position than Jimmy Garoppolo's reign with the 49ers.
Right. And what I'm saying is you'll take it because Jimmy Garoppolo was a part of 2 NFC championship games and really a part of a 3rd if you count last year, and he did make a real impact in the season. But you mentioned it the year before where inexplicably and despite Jimmy, or in spite of Jimmy, in a game where he only threw the ball 7 times against Green Bay in that playoff game.
Yep.
You didn't really need Jimmy, but he was your quarterback and he led you all the way to the conference championship game 2 years in a row.
888-957-9570, and you are listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app. I would tweak, at least from me, the statement you just made. If Brock is Jimmy, quote, you'll take it. No, I do have higher goals than that. I just would argue that that's not like a disaster. And if you're arguing that's the worry, like Ryan was like, the worry is that Brock is Jimmy. Well, then we're going with it. Then he's the starter. If that's the worst thing that could happen with Brock Purdy, then yes, you're going with it, and you'll see where it goes, and you'll see if he can improve from Jimmy. And the only evidence you have so far is that he did, because he took the exact same roster last year that Jimmy had and made it better.
I think the interesting thing about what he said is if Brock is Jimmy, you're worried. It's about what happens after the next 2 years, because Brock Purdy has a 4-year contract as a non-first-round pick, which means it's a 3-year contract, and then you have to decide what you want to do with that quarterback for subsequent years. So let's take these next 2 years and say that Brock is just like Jimmy, and in one of the 2 years, he gets hurt, and in one of the 2 years, he leads you to the Super Bowl, but you don't win it. What do you do with Brock Purdy after that second year? Let's say this year, Brock is like Jimmy, and unfortunately, he gets hurt, and he's gone for the year. He plays about 5 or 6 games, gone for the year, and then Lance comes in or Sam comes in, and you don't make it all the way to the Super Bowl, but it is what it is, and it's unfortunate. But then next year, Brock Purdy comes back, and he's healthy, and he leads you all the way to the Super Bowl, and then you lose. What do you do with Brock Purdy in terms of a contract?
You'd probably re-sign him.
Yeah, but that's,
You probably would.
To the caller's point.
Getting to the Super Bowl is getting to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but it's at that point, he would have already had 2 season-ending major injuries in this hypothetical, and you're going to give him $35 million a year?
Yeah, and in this spot, you're with a football team that is very wounded, which is,
pun intended.
Yeah, you're wounded based on what's happened with that issue at that position before. But then again, look around the league and look at teams who re-sign their quarterbacks. They usually do it for a hell of a lot less than making the Super Bowl. If you're
Daniel Jones is a good example.
Daniel Jones in 3 years is going to make $46 million.
Wow.
The Giants did that. They won't pay Saquon, but Daniel Jones in 2 years is going to make $46 million.
The cap hit will be 56.5. I'm just looking at it right now. Yep. They do have a potential out after 2025, which would only be an $18 million dead cap. But to your point, if Daniel Jones is the same quarterback that he's been, which is you're about the 17th best quarterback in the league. You're not quite Kirk Cousins, but maybe Cousins-esque.
Well, but that's an interesting name. Look at the names who have just been like, look, if I play well, we can make the playoffs.
Right.
Might get knocked out in round 1 or 2, but if I play well, we can make the playoffs. That's Daniel Jones. That's Kyler Murray. That's Kirk Cousins. That's Dak Prescott. That's what Derek Carr was with the Raiders.
Shanahan.
That's right. All of those guys. What has the team done, at least with the first opportunity each time?
Got to keep them.
Bang. Write that check.
Yeah.
Write that check.
Even Geno Smith, who had 1 year in Seattle and showed that he might be one of these guys.
Might be one of those guys. And he didn't get the massive one, but what was it, a 3-year? Was it a 3-year deal?
Yeah. But they have an out after just 1 year. But still, they put pen to paper and they gave him a big number. And that's where the Niners would be. That's where they will be. With either Brock Purdy or Trey Lance, one of these two guys is going to get, and I'm looking at Danny Dimes' contract right now, 4-year, $160 million. The guarantee is $81. He's guaranteed $81 million at signing. Now there's an out after year 3, but still it's $81 million guaranteed at signing. So either Brock or Trey is going to get this kind of deal at least.
And you wonder why Saquon Barkley's on a Zoom with all of his other running backs over the weekend, because they're like, dude, you get $10 million for this year and that's it. That's it. Want to play?
My guy Eckler actually hosted that.
He hosted it, yeah. McCaffrey was on it.
I'm
CMC
sure.
was there. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, there was a Zoom. There was a Zoom on Saturday.
A running back Zoom.
High-powered Zoom that included, if I can just do this from memory, Eckler was on it, McCaffrey was on it, Jacobs was on it, Saquon was on it. I think maybe Najee Harris of the Steelers was on it. And there were a few other guys as well, and they're all trying to talk about what should we do about the future of the running back position. And one of them came out afterwards and was like, oh, it was Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was on it too. And he comes out and goes, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot we can do. So doesn't sound like the most productive Zoom.
No, but
He's right. What the hell do you want to do?
What do you do? So the best thing you can do is go out there, ball out, have a monster year. But that doesn't mean you're going to get paid.
Not necessarily.
So the other option is I'm not playing at all. I'm going to fold my arms and fake injury.
Then you get no money.
Or you get your money this year, and then the word gets out that you jaked it and you faked it.
I guess the only way the Zoom would have worked is if the guys who are free agents or they're being franchise tagged in some way convinced all the running backs to be like, we're all walking out together. Nobody shows up to camp.
Yeah.
Well, that's not happening.
Did you see Christian McCaffrey? And I know you did because I was standing next to you at mandatory minicamp.
Yep.
He was out there.
He was there.
Fighting for every yard in shorts and a helmet and arguing with officials.
He's also not going to give up the $16 million.
Thank you.
Right? The guys who don't have anything on the line, sure, we're walking out. You're with us. Christian's like, no.
And I wonder if he on the Zoom was like, guys, I mean, my advice to you, catch a pass. It's a lot more fun. And
my advice to you, be more like me.
Well, and when you catch a pass, you don't have the opportunity to be tackled by 11 guys. When you're the ball carrier on a run play, you have to get through all 11, in theory, to get to the end zone. When you're a receiver, you're already past 4 of them at least, maybe 7 of them.
Wow.
In terms of like the amount of impact on your body.
I'd argue right now, based on contracts around the league, Christians is one of the only ones who you really can justify. Because he is playing more than one position.
Right.
And he is such a Swiss Army knife out on the field. Eckler is the only one he's kind of a poor man's Christian McCaffrey, I would say. But he has that kind of talent. He has that kind of a gift to catch passes. But it's a passing league. It's a passing league. And you can do this exercise because I did it over the weekend. Go back over the last 10 Super Bowls. Just look at the winner and then tell me who their running back was. And it's just like, who?
Well,
what?
Or guys
Where?
who were on the, like Leonard Fournette.
Yeah. I mean,
Tampa.
it's not right. It's not like they don't produce, but it's not a superstar getting $16 million a year.
And it's not a running back who then went on to get a massive contract and go on to be the feature back for years to come.
Right. I mean, when the Rams won a few years ago, Cam Akers was their running back.
Not Todd Gurley.
No. When Stafford's Super Bowl, Cam Akers.
Yeah.
Do you know how many yards he ran for in the Super Bowl?
Probably about 50.
21.
I thought I was lowballing
He was their leading rusher.
And he had 21 yards.
He had 21 yards.
Man.
So, they're like, I get it's unfair and it's a bummer and but like, you're replaceable. Unfortunately, you're replaceable and your skill is not being used as much unless your name is Christian McCaffrey.
And I wonder if the starting pitcher is going to go this route more and more as we see like the Justin Verlanders.
That's an interesting thought.
You're getting $40 million, but we don't need you to go 7 2/3 anymore.
Nor can you.
Well, you really need a guy to get us 9 outs. Forget even like the quality start or qualify for the win. Get me through the order twice if you can, but 1.5 would be nice.
Yeah, well, and I don't think they'll look at it that way. Don't give us 3 innings, but yeah, there aren't a lot of people who are expected to go 6.
Right.
Or 7 at all.
Your guy from the Giants leads the league in complete games with 1. Alex Cobb.
Yep, you can put that one on your tombstone. This guy once pitched a complete game. Isn't that crazy? Larry in San Francisco is next up here on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Larry, what are you doing?
Hey, fellas, I'm just doing a little Uber out here trying to make some money, man.
Good for you.
And you guys talk about man, I got to tell you, it's about time we start talking about the 49ers again. I'm so tired of baseball. Anyway, check it out, man. I ain't got nothing against Trey Lance. If Trey Lance comes out in the preseason and just balls out, shows that he's a confident quarterback. He doesn't have to be Patrick Mahomes. Just show me you can run the offense. You've been in it for 3 years. And that caller from Irwin who said Trey Lance, Brock Purdy is more like Jimmy G. Dude, Trey Lance is more like Jimmy G. 4 games and 3 injuries, 3 huge injuries. So I just come to this conclusion. I'm a Brock Purdy fan, But if Trey Lance comes out and just shows me he can play adequate football, he can make a pass, he can convert a third down. He doesn't go for 1 for 6 on 4th and 1. Then I'll be rooting for Trey Lance because I'm a Niner fan. I want the best capable football player on the field at that time.
Yeah, and Larry, what I was waiting for in your call, and thanks for making it, the setup was there a few times from Larry. If Trey can do this, if he can do that, if he can be competent, if he can be accurate, if he can, well, then what? Then do you want to start him? Because I'd still say no.
Trey can say no.
Trey can come. This is where I'm at, and this is why this is where the argument sits, I think, for a lot of people. Trey can come have a great camp, and I'd still put him at number 2. Like, without even blinking.
Well, of course. And George Kittle had the great comment when he was talking to Dan Patrick about the fact that Brock Purdy went 8-0, which no, he didn't, but I won't get into that again with you or George Kittle because we see it differently.
I give it to him.
Yeah, he started a game that they lost, and he came off the bench in a game where he doesn't get credit, so he was 7-1, but the greater point is the same. You don't go from a guy who was that successful and turn to somebody else. If Brock Purdy had those numbers and they were 5-3 or 5-4, it's a different conversation.
Absolutely.
Those dudes won with Brock Purdy as QB.
The Kittle sound to which you are referring, for those of you just joining us, this is from June 14th on the Dan Patrick Show. Pay close attention to the tone Kittle uses when asked about who the starting quarterback is.
Are you expecting Brock to be starting week 1?
Oh, yeah. I am. I mean, if you win 8 games in a row, it's hard to bench that guy.
No, I mean health-wise.
Oh, yeah. I do. He's been throwing. I think he looks good. I've seen him throw once or twice. He's confident. He's in a good place mentally and physically. So I'm excited about that. We were rolling with him, averaging 30 points a game. So looking forward to it.
All right. So that's a month and a half ago. He was already confident about Brock's health, but it's important to note, George first thought Dan was asking just in terms of like, are you expecting him to be named your starter? And George treated it like, well, yeah. What the hell else would we do?
Hey, Dibs, you want another White Claw? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
don't ask stupid questions.
Exactly.
Thank you.
I mean, that was the tone of that.
All right.
Oh, yeah.